I'm here. Good morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly. How's
Hi, Tony.
Doing?
I want to talk Judge Kavanaugh, but I don't know if you saw Jeff Smith's tweet the other day. Jeff Smith, the former state representative who spent a year in jail for lying to the feds on his own campaign finance issue.
Former state senator. Yes, I did see that tweet where he indicated that former Governor Greitens has allegedly reached out to a donor to look into a possible future run for governor in 2020. I found it humorous.
But apparently he's calling a couple of donors to figure out if he's got if he has any life left in him. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't take it too seriously. That's at least the second or third time since he resigned that there's been such a rumor, and I doubt very seriously anything like that would happen. Maybe he made a call, but I think he's still going to go away for a while and try to get his life put back together. But we'll see.
Yeah, well,
the political world is full of second and third acts from people that you wouldn't expect to come back on the local or national scene. So I would not be surprised that in 5 or 10 years there is a remade Eric Greitens that appears on the public scene again, but I wouldn't expect anything in 2020.
What's interesting about this Judge Kavanaugh case is that it is playing out almost exactly the way the Anita Hill played out in 1991.
Yeah, it's very similar. I was actually going through some of Senator Jack Danforth's old statements about, he played the major role. He was the sponsor and friend and person who was pushing Clarence Thomas. And in one of his books, perhaps in a couple of them, but in one of them, he expresses some regret for how aggressively he went after Anita Hill. And it's interesting to watch now how some Republicans have learned that lesson as it relates to their treatment of Dr. Blasey Ford, the woman who has come out and said that Judge Kavanaugh, when he was a 17-year-old in high school, attempted to rape her at a party. But there are still plenty on the right who are aggressively going after her and trying to diminish her reputation and trying to damage her. And it is just interesting to watch the diversion in how people are dealing with this right now. There's definitely an effect of the Me Too movement in terms of some Republicans, quite a few at the national level, including Missouri's Roy Blunt, having a much more respectful sort of tone towards Dr. Ford than they might have had against Anita Hill so many years ago.
So, with the McCaskill-Hawley race coming down to the bitter end with 6 weeks to go, they're going to give this woman a platform to testify. You have to assume she's going to be somewhat credible. And so now you find yourself listening to the accuser, and now they're going to have to decide between Kavanaugh and the accuser, all in the middle of them trying to appease the Me Too movement. It sounds to me like this is a no-win situation for Josh Hawley. How does Josh Hawley answer this question? How do the Republicans answer this question after she testifies?
Well, here's the problem. This is a problem of the Republicans' own making. There was no reason except for election season politics, for the committee vote to be scheduled as early as it was. As Democrats have made very clear, this process was rushed. Lots of the documents that they would normally get on a Supreme Court justice nominee, they didn't get. The National Archives haven't given them all the documents yet. They've actually had to sue for the documents. They got thousands of pages of documents before the hearing right before the hearing started. This has not been a normal process. It's been a process that was rushed specifically to try to help Josh Hawley and other swing state Senate candidates. So Republicans are now having to deal with the fact that they tried to create a political spectacle rather than letting this process run its course and let Donald Trump's nominee to the court ultimately get put on the court probably after the election rather than before the election. They pushed this to try to gain an electoral advantage, and now it's backfired against them. And to the credit of quite a few Senate Republicans, they're now recognizing this is really serious. They already had problems with Kavanaugh's nomination because there are pretty credible allegations that he has lied under oath. That's not good for a Supreme Court justice. And I believe that this is going to give the opportunity for some of them who aren't a big fan of him anyway to try to pressure him to withdraw his nomination or otherwise walk away. President Trump is likely going to get a conservative justice on the court, but probably not this one.
Well, and you know what? I mean, that's if they're so worried about the Me Too movement backlash that Roy Blunt, who is a member of the majority, and Kellyanne Conway saying we need to hear this woman needs to be heard. That sounds to me like there is no way that Kavanaugh gets on the bench.
I've been no fan of Senator Blunt since he's basically, until very recently, refused to criticize anything President Trump has done. It's really disappointed me. However, his statement as it relates to hearing from Dr. Ford was significant and tells me, because Senator Blunt doesn't make such a statement, generally speaking, without already knowing what the math is.
Right.
That tells me that Republican leadership is looking for a way out on the Judge Kavanaugh nomination. I think it's more likely than not that he does not get nominated, that he ultimately withdraws or just loses in committee.
Yeah. Stay tuned. It will be an exciting week. Tony Messenger, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, with us every Tuesday and Thursday. Tony, thanks for the insights. Have a good day.
Good to talk.